had a really crazy, busy, hectic day, and then I walked in and got more hugs in 10 minutes than I've gotten probably all week. So thank you all for being here. All my favorite folks are, well, most of my favorite folks are here. There's a few that are missing, but so the idea of this is to collaborate with folks. For those of you that don't know very much about Night Shelter, we're going on, I don't know, it wasn't ever really well documented, but we're thinking about 27 years of doing this. It started 27-ish years ago with just a place for families to be during the cold months of the year. And it was that first come, first serve, no case management, no vetting of the families. It survived somehow. But then they decided, you know, well, this is really great that these families have a place to be at night, but what are they going to do during the day? And then First Place Family Center started the year after that. And so First Place is there because of Night Shelter, basically. And this program has evolved, hopefully for the better. We try very hard to, it's not just a shelter where families come to sleep. They're all case managed by me. We work really hard to help them find jobs if that's what they need, to find housing, of course, do the little parenting stuff along the way. And we try really hard to make sure that the rules and agreements that the families follow are respectful of all the host sites that we go to. So parents, you know, watch their kids, clean up after themselves. We don't allow, you know, vulgar language or, you know, any of those things. And I think it's worked out pretty well. There's a lot of folks here who are Night Shelter hosts, program coordinators, and if you haven't done this before, talk to them, and hopefully they'll say nice things about us. We can host up to 10 families at a time during the season. We usually average 6 to 7. All the families are vetted, so they come in, they have to be a family of First Place Family Center first. So they come in, they register, we do background checks. Background checks are just looking for things that would make our facilities unsafe for children especially. So we look for sexual predators, registered sex offenders, any recent crimes against persons. But a lot of our families have past stuff that they've overcome and they're trying to overcome. And so some of our families have backgrounds, they all have backgrounds. But we try to keep it a really safe environment for, especially for our children, because that's why we all do this, is for the kids. Gosh, I don't know. So I guess what we're asking for tonight is some help with making sure that this program gets to continue. So a lot of my churches, and I call them my churches, are aging out. The congregations are getting older. There aren't new folks coming in. They have wonderful facilities for housing Night Shelter, but not so many volunteers anymore. And so part of what we're trying to do here is to get other churches who may, you know, have a small facility and may not be able to house up to 10 families at a time for a week or two at a time, would come in and do a couple of dinners maybe for one of these churches to kind of help them out, or, you know, volunteer to do overnights or something, so that those churches with the great facilities can continue to help and be a part of Night Shelter. I'm about 3 spots short this year, this next season. So we're actually hoping that somebody here has a facility big enough in the Wood Lake to try doing Night Shelter on their own. I left business cards out on the front table there, so anybody that has a bunch of questions or wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning and goes, oh shoot, I should have asked her that, can call me. My cell phone is on there and it's always available. Trust me, it's always available. 24 hours a day, I think, 7 days a week. Do not call me at 3 a.m. just to say hi. But any other time is good. So I'm just really pleased at this turnout. I think this is really an exciting idea that David and the ECAN group have come up with, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to continue doing night shelter for a long, long time. You know, my job, well, originally my goal was to work myself out of a job, and that's obviously not happening. There's probably more homeless folks in Eugene now than maybe 7 years ago. The price of rent has increased dramatically, so it's very hard to even afford a place to live. Shelter Care, who used to, when I started this job 7 years ago, Shelter Care had 27 emergency shelter apartments, and I filled those apartments. So my night shelter families who hadn't quite made it into housing yet, I could move them into one of those. They'd get 3 months more, and between the 3 months at night shelter and the 3 months at Shelter Care, most of them were able to find housing. As of July 1st, Shelter Care of this year, Shelter Care will have 4 emergency shelter apartments, and I have at least 6 night shelter families, so you can see where that problem arises. So again, I'm really happy that you're all here. I really hope that we can come up with some solutions to this. It's really been my life the last 7 years to run this program, to build relationships with not just our families, which we really believe in first place, but with each and every one of my night shelter coordinators. They're all amazing, wonderful, warm-hearted, compassionate people, and I love each and every one of you to the bottom of my heart. So I wanted to introduce one of our, I keep doing that, I want to introduce one of our families that is in night shelter currently. They were kind enough to come, and Robin's got her speech all prepared, so she can tell you a little bit about the night shelter experience from their point of view. You know, I used to do a lot of United Way, what I called spiels, you know, where they want people from different organizations to come and talk to people and try to get them to give more money and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things I would say to them is, you know, think about, you know, when you got up this morning, you know, y'all got up, you went to the bathroom, you made a pot of coffee, you brushed your teeth, took a shower, got your kids up, fed them, got them dressed in clean clothes, sent them off to school, homework done, rested. And then think about how you would do all of that if you were living in the backseat of a car. You know, what gas station are you going to take them to tonight to brush their teeth? You know, how are they going to get their homework done in the backseat of a car after dark? The reason that we do night shelter, we started out in the cold months of the year. 4J school districts saw such a difference in the way that our children came to school. Rested, prepared, homework done, clean clothes because they can do their laundry at first place, that they asked us to do it year-round or school year-round. And so that's why we do it now. You know, this program makes a difference. It makes an incredible difference. And, you know, for those of you that think, oh, I just feed them a meal, or I just, you know, whatever, you know, what you do is so much more important than that. You know, you welcome these families, you make them feel normal, you share your stories with them and let them share their stories with you. It broadens all of our view of the world that we live in, and I think we can only all benefit from that. So, no further ado, I'm going to introduce Keith and Robin Carpenter and their daughters Kaylin and Jessica. And hopefully they'll tell you nice things about night shelter.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This is my family. This is Keith. I'm Robin. This is Kaylin. This is Jessica. I wanted to share with y'all my experience in night shelter.
Can you hold the mic a little closer?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, baby, supposed to So, basically what it comes down to, it is nothing short of a miracle. In all the situations that have forced us to not get a home, we were given the choice to come into night shelter by Becky, and we had to do our assessment and everything, and I was kind of nervous about it at first. I didn't know how to approach it because we were a family that never been in this kind of situation before until just recently. And when I found out about it, I was like, me and my husband talked, and we wanted to give it a try because we seen everybody always talk so highly about night shelter and what the churches do for everybody, and it was an amazing thing to hear. And I'm like, well, I have children, and I want to keep them safe because we're not in the best situation. So we decided, and happily decided, to try it out. And through the assessment, we learned the rules and the, understanding of how the program worked. And I felt safe knowing that my family was going to be protected by the program and through the churches that sheltered us from week-to-week basis. And that was definitely a big stress reliever, I do have to say that one. All the churches, especially the most recent that has sheltered us for the past 3 weeks we have been to, were amazing and very warm and very welcoming and very hospitable. We felt the love and respect from every single volunteer and anybody that walked in there. They gave us the smile that made us feel like we were actually home. You take that as you can, but from our experience, it was a beautiful thing for us because it's a very, very difficult situation. And there was 7 families that came in, and they, all being in the stressful situation that we were in, we learned to love one another, and we all became one big family. And every church has given us, food for breakfast, which is amazing, and dinners are even more amazing. Always full, always satisfied, and they always made sure that if we needed seconds, even if we really didn't want any more, there was plenty of seconds. So we were always very satisfied as soon as we went to bed. A lot of tired people afterwards.
I know I was.
Has a very hearty appetite. But they had activities for the children. All the churches had activities, and that kind of gave the parents a breather. So the parents even had time where we had our own space, and we had a family, what was it called? A parenting group. Not mandatory, but it was very welcoming for parents that definitely needed to vent about whatever. And it's usually about our roses and thorns, and that was asked of us daily. And it actually felt great because we got to talk to other parents that are also involved, and we also learned about each other and where we come from. And that was a great thing to have too. And they were always happy, and my children are very happy in the situation we are in, and we really are going to miss the fact that we have this for us. And everybody has been great to us, and I cannot stress that enough, that this is something that has been amazing, and it's been an amazing experience. And I can't thank everybody enough that has helped our family and all the families. And I wanted to let anybody know that, if it's something you haven't done for the families, I would ask to please take into consideration that what I have learned and what we've been through with the churches has been nothing but a great thing. And anybody that's gonna be in the same situation are gonna wanna feel that feeling that we got. And I am very thankful every day for having this experience with my family and with all the other families that are with us. And I hope you guys do consider it, because it is definitely something that's been life-changing. And I hope you take this as a good thing and a positive thing, and help us out, help all the other families out. And I hope you guys have a good night, and thank you for listening.
So that somebody could coordinate that and say, okay, this church needs this kind of volunteer for that night. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, and using different ministries in the church, like the choir or the ushers, to provide meals for night shelter.
We came up with the idea of mentoring interns of a sort from different churches who have not yet become involved, to give them a little hands-on experience and learning at a church that is already working. And the other thing was, it would be great if we all had a list of nearby churches and a phone number and a name to contact. And the good news, that already exists. And if you go to the ECAN website, which is ecan.today, there's a Google map there, and there are icons on the map for all the congregations in Central Lane County. Yeah, thank you. And another thing that was web-based that was suggested is that there be a website that is used for shared information among the churches that are working and are involved, so that they know who they are and are able to just talk to each other.
So we suggested having the Eugene Weekly and Register Guard do monthly coverage of the program. It was mentioned how a few months ago there was a woman who was living in her car, a student, and the compelling story, and really got the community involved. We also discussed parishioners hosting families for the dinner and then returning them to the shelter.
You can't go home until we eat all that food? Oh, group photo. First priority. Everybody over here in the line spot.